Hello and welcome back to the Women's Eye podcast. I'm Stacey Gualandi, your host. Well, we have built quite a community of incredible women here on the podcast. And in honor of Women's History Month, we are bringing back guests who are making history, like baker turned author turned filmmaker, Beth Howard. You may also know her as the Iowa Pie Lady. Hi, Beth. It's been
Hi,
years.
Stacey. Making history. I don't know that's putting me up there at a level I wasn't expecting, but thank you.
Well, you are, and you're both, and I guess I'm making history because no,
Oh my
I'm like
goodness.
I baked, but I bought you a pie.
Oh, I
So
was going to say that's kind of fancy. I don't even do that piping thing with the whipped cream. I see. That's beautiful though.
no, yeah, there's no way. But for those listening, it's chocolate cream pie.
Hmm.
So, but we're gonna get into all things pies with you today, Beth. But first, this episode is brought to you by Casco Financial Group in Phoenix. Casco President Catherine Scrivano started her business to help people create the financial strength to achieve their dreams. Now, we first met Beth Howard in 2014, and then
Wow.
again in 2018. The Women's Eye loves you. She has 4 books under her apron. Yes, many we have featured here. And now her award winning documentary, PIEOWA, is making history across the country. Her message is simple. Yes, pie is yummy, but more importantly, it has the power to heal, to bring communities together, and to make the world a better place. Welcome again, Beth. It's so great to see you,
Thank
especially
you.
now you're wearing, I should take this up. You're wearing director's hat.
Yes.
I'm not really a baker.
I
So,
literally have a baseball hat that says director on it. I don't have it with me. Otherwise, I would put that on to,
yes.
counter your chef's hat, but that's adorable.
So I know, but how fantastic, because, when last I talked to you, I don't know if a documentary was even like a seed planted yet in
No.
in your head or brain. But yeah, so you're feeling the joy of having the film done, and it's out in theaters, it's been out there. How does that feel?
Uh, it's overwhelming. I didn't expect it to be so successful. I really, in my mind, it was make a film, try to find a streamer, move on to the next thing. But that is not what happened with this film. I did a couple of screenings in Iowa and they sold out. It was just supposed to be for the cast and crew, but they
Yeah.
sold out. And then they asked me if they could show it, a few more times. And I said, sure. And then they ran it for 7 weeks straight at the theater
Oh,
in Des Moines, Iowa. And they said it was a record for them. And I mean, I didn't, that's like it became a theatrical release without me anticipating that. And
how
uh,
great though for that,
yeah. And then I've been going to the screenings in person, many of them, as many as I can, and doing a Q&A, which people really like that when the filmmaker is there. But the best part is because the film makes you so hungry for pie, and because the message is about building community, we serve pie at the screening at the end. So
Brilliant.
when people file out of the theater, there's pie waiting for them, and then they stay and talk to each other and they exchange stories about their pie memories, and it's a great experience. I mean, that's I think what's made it so special as doing it this a release this way.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's not a theatrical release in the traditional sense where you get a distributor and you blanket all the theaters across the country,
You're doing
for
like special
whatever.
screenings,
Yeah, these
different
are
cities.
special screenings. Yeah, special events basically, and at theaters though generally. And it's just been so much fun. It energizes me because people ask, "Aren't you so exhausted?" And
Yeah,
on one
but
hand, I'll tell you what exhausts me. It's not doing the screenings, and it's definitely not meeting all the people because I love that part. That gives me energy, but there's still technical hiccups along the way. Like every movie theater is different, every screen looks different, and you're like, oh my God, I thought my troubles were over. But,
it's
uh,
having to adapt to each
yes, it's just
all the
making
tech.
sure that this picture's not, cropped too tight and like cutting off the names at the bottom. You're like, ah. So every screening is like a bit of a panic for me, but that's the only part that's been really hard.
Well, it's
So,
amazing though, because I mean, you've come a long way, which
Yeah.
is
Well,
incredible. And I don't think,
I knew nothing about filmmaking, and I started this when I was 61. I'm 63 now. So I always like to tell people that because it's never too late to
yes,
do
right.
something new, take on a new career. I mean, I had to learn everything, and I called a lot of filmmaker friends and asked them for advice, and everybody was very generous and happy to help. And then plus I was so passionate about the subject, pie is that's been, all my books are about pie. And uh so yeah, so people were helpful. And also I watched I don't know how many hours of YouTube videos, and I had to learn how to edit in this, complicated software. And so those were all things that really made me stretch and grow. And I like that. I didn't, I've
Yeah.
written 4 books. I don't need to write another book. I was like, okay, I want to try something new, something I haven't done before and learn something. And I definitely learned a lot.
I know. Well, that's what's
Really thing.
amazing. And for those maybe who aren't aware of your pie cottage industry, to recap, literally pie saved you. I love it because you call yourself a pie evangelist, or I said paleontologist, if I can't even say it properly. But yeah, I mean, you really have cornered the market on pie, and this was not something that you necessarily had set out for. It was just sort of
Right.
out of necessity. I'm going to bake pies in Los Angeles.
Right. And the thing is, it's just that because when I first got into the pie making, and that would have been, you're referring to like 2001, when I quit a
Yeah,
dot-com job, I was stressed out. I was sick of working on virtual worlds and I wanted to go work with my hands. And that was what really drew me to it was I want a tactile experience. I want to engage my senses, like you put your hands in the flour, you peel apples. It's very grounding. And so I
therapeutic.
was seeking that, and I did that for a year in Malibu, and then that led to, I don't know. I mean, I had this whole chapter of my life in between. I got married, moved to Germany, and then it was when my husband died unexpectedly that I went back to pie as a way to like help heal my grief. And the other thing that I feel so strongly about pie and what I preach is that, when you make a pie and share it with somebody else, it makes them so happy, the other person, and they don't care if it's perfect or not. They don't care. They're
Here,
just
yeah.
like so amazed that you made them a pie. And that makes you feel good. Made something with your hands, which right there is a great experience. And then you share it with somebody and makes them happy. And that just comes back to you. And that's like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
I do have some value in this world and I can make a difference. And even if it's just making one person happy at a time.
And
And there was,
it doesn't have to look pretty. It tastes good, and that's
right.
slam dunk. You're
No, you
in.
know what? Even if it doesn't taste good, it's just like, you know what? It's because you took the time to do something for somebody else. And I think that's
Yeah.
what we're missing in our society now is people don't take the time to slow down and do that. I mean, even if it's just writing a handwritten note or,
Yes.
like just the things, the analog things.
Yep. I
Yeah.
know it's so funny whenever I send a thank you note or something to somebody, it's the reaction. They're like they'll take a picture of it and send it back and say thank you. It's just those things are just
Hmm.
so off in the ether somewhere. But
Yeah.
it's the little gestures. But and I think a lot of things too. What was so fascinating is that there was a short period of time, well, maybe not short, but a couple of years that you lived in the actual American Gothic house in Iowa that is
Hmm.
famous from the painting, and then set up your own pitchfork pie stand and sold pies. I just still think that what an amazing chapter in your life, I think, just to have
I
had
mean,
that
yeah, it
experience.
was incredible. And I miss living in that house. It was so special. It was in a really small town called Eldon in
Eldon.
southeast Iowa. And it was just it's really small community, and that house was on the edge of town, so I kind of had like a cornfield out my door, but I also was right by town, so I could take the bike path and walk to the gas station to get milk or whatever. There was no grocery stores, no stoplights, but then and there'd be like not always a steady stream, but there was always traffic coming in, like people from all over the world. You never know who's going to turn up. And maybe you go out there and help offer to take their picture because they can pose with a pitchfork in front of the house. Or, the pie stand was, just on the weekends in the summer months. So, that was definitely a way to engage with the people. And it built community just by, having a place to go,
Yeah.
something to do, having a destination. Oh, let's go get pie. And oh, it was really fun. It was a lot of work. It was
I'm
really
sure.
hard
I mean,
work.
everything you've done, obviously, it has involved a tremendous amount of work, and you have four books under your belt. It was interesting
Mhm.
because you said that you know what, you didn't necessarily need to write another book. At
Mhm.
what point did you decide, like, you know what, I need to capture this in a film in some way to reflect back what pie represents, certainly to the state of Iowa, but what it
Mhm.
could mean beyond the
Right.
borders of Iowa?
Well, I had you know what? I write about this in Making Peace, which is my first book in 2012. And it's a memoir of love, loss, and pie. And in that book, I write about how I met up with a friend and we went on this road trip in my RV, the RV that my husband left behind that I never wanted. And then it became this, character in my story. And
Yeah.
and this friend and I, we spent 2 weeks filming pie stories, and we did it just in California, but there's just so many great stories about how pie factors into people's lives. It changes their life. Maybe it's a new career. There was a young woman who had lost her father, and she started a business in San Francisco downtown, delivering little mini pies by bicycle. It's just like, I don't know, sweet stories. And and that was back in 2010 that we did that. And we were
Wow.
trying to sell that as a docu-series or a documentary, but mainly as a docu-series. That 2010, okay? So fast forward
Yeah. So
more
you,
than a decade and a half, and you're like, what? I still haven't sold that. And it got to the point where Hollywood was, we had lots of close calls. People were sort of interested, but there were people that would say, oh, well, that's too limited of a subject. No, it isn't. Have you seen the variety of pies? You could put anything in a pie crust. It's all shapes and sizes and
yeah.
forms and all. You can find pie in every culture. And but then in the last few years they were saying, oh, we want a baking competition, and I was like, no, you don't. There's enough baking competitions. Don't do
Yeah.
a copycat
Those are
thing.
done.
And
Let's
it's not
focus here.
about the competition. It's about the sharing. It's not if it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter if it's a good pie. It's about sharing it with others. So I think, you know what? I just got mad. I got frustrated and I got tired of hearing no. And I go, you know what? I'm going to show them. I'm going to show them what I'm talking about. I'll just do it myself. And I thought I was going to do like a national, go around the country and shoot stories all over. But honestly, at the time, I had a rescue dog, and she was sick, and I wanted to stay closer to home. That's the truth. I mean, that's
Yeah.
really how it ended up being just Iowa. I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, maybe I'll do like one state at a time, and I'll just start at home. And then it became a standalone documentary. Again, much to my surprise, like not
No,
only.
but that's the joy in that too, is that you have this idea, but how it's going to keep expanding, and this, so I keep saying, this ripple effect,
Mhm.
because as you said, maybe no other time in history have we needed something like this so badly.
Right.
That positive, that you even talk about that it's the humble pastry can unite us.
Mhm.
That really, and you're finding that even more and more as more people see the film.
Absolutely. That's the part that's so joyous is people come together and it's in real life, like it's not streaming.
Yeah.
And as much as I thought, oh yeah, I just want this to go straight to streaming, it's like now I'm thinking, well, that would be a huge disservice to the film and what it's about. This is like being out there with the film in real life is practicing what I'm preaching. It's
Yeah.
like here we are coming together in community, like-minded, subject that we're, some a subject we can all agree on, right? That's
Yes.
part of it too. And then staying there afterward to talk and have conversations that maybe we wouldn't have otherwise. And one of the fun things has been, seeing people run into other people that they knew that they didn't expect to be there,
Oh,
or,
really? Yeah.
people becoming friends because they met there. And I mean, making connections, right? And so the film is definitely doing the job I had hoped it would do. I just,
Absolutely.
I just didn't know I was going to be traveling so much and
Yeah.
out there with it. But, that's been
I,
fun.
well, a good thing though, you have a good travel background though, so that's good.
Yeah, no,
You
I
know,
mean, I'm fine with it. It's good. And the other thing is because I've lived a lot of different places, I have friends in a lot of different places. So when I do bring the film to a town, it's often because I knew somebody there and they reached out to the theater and they're like, we want you to bring this film. And, so there's always been kind of a point person.
absolutely. Well,
I get to see old friends that way too. So it's a win-win.
and I'm hoping, I really would love to have this in Vegas,
I'm
and
working
you have
on it.
friends too. And so we'll
Yeah.
we'll we'll try. But the name itself is phenomenal. Iowa. I mean, how there's no other way to call this. I loved it. It was, you know what? It was so, like, I sat down and I think I was like super tense or whatever, and then I got down and just watching it, and it just takes you out of whatever you're dealing with, and you just kind of sink right into it. And it's just, I just love the tone. The tone is amazing, and of course, it makes you hungry. But I thought it was just really well done, and the message was great. I loved the diversity that you captured of
And that's
all,
just in Iowa,
and that's in Iowa.
which you think
Yeah.
is just this, old white farmers and so much more
White
than that.
bread or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's amazing that there's so many different cultures that can define a pie.
Hmm.
Was that surprising to you too, or you're like, no, 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 I knew that all along?
Uh, well, because I had written World Peace, my
Yes.
book about going around the world. So I knew the deep roots of pie in
But just
other
in even in
cultures.
Iowa
And
too, was that surprising or no?
uh, yeah, I guess it was, I
Yeah.
mean, in a good way. I guess, uh, yeah, like the Australian pies, the sweet
Yep.
potato pie from this lovely, lovely black woman. I just adore her. I wanted to
Yeah,
move
she's
into her
great. What's
house.
her name
Yeah.
again? It's
Rochelle.
Rochelle. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, she'll have her own like YouTube channel, or maybe
Yeah,
she does. Yeah.
I love her so much. Yeah, and the Latino kids that made pies and they're as part of their community service project. I mean, oh, there's definitely a lot happening,
Yeah.
and I was and all connected by pie. Go figure, right? That's the amazing thing that this one little subject has legs that go or tentacles even, that
Yeah.
go deeper into our culture than we even realize.
No, it was fantastic. And then it's funny because I've gotten the opportunity to interview Tom Arnold over the years, and it
Oh,
was
you
great to
have?
see
Oh,
Mr. Iowa himself, Tom Arnold, in the
yeah.
movie.
He
So,
loved the film. He only just recently watched it. I happened to go
oh,
see one of his comedy shows because he came through Iowa.
yeah.
And then he had the link, I'd sent it to him like a year ago and he hadn't watched it so when I saw him after his comedy show, I was like, I'm gonna send you the link again. And then he watched it right away. I mean, I he
Oh,
literally texted me like he had it was like an hour and a half and it's like, oh my God, he watched it immediately and he texted me immediately after and I was like, he really watched it already and he
oh,
just loved it. So um yeah, I don't know, it's like the response has been overwhelmingly positive. I That's
that's
what's
great. And
also
obviously,
mind-blowing.
you've taken it out of Iowa
Well, that's
and
that's the
other
other thing. I wasn't
cities. Yeah.
sure if it would have an audience outside of Iowa, and I have been so surprised at that as well that, yes, it's based in Iowa, but the message is definitely more
Yeah.
universal.
Exactly. And yeah, because you've been, where all have you been? I
I've
mean,
been to 10 states.
wow,
Yeah.
wow.
I have a
That
few more to go, and I have a few more coming up. So, and even just this morning as I was you know, just
going
what is
through
it? You know,
your
the
planning your
email
life.
the email comes in unexpectedly. I'm like, oh, there's another request for a screening in New York, so it's
Oh,
it's it's amazing. It's still got momentum and I don't know. I guess if you just keep it going as long as it wants to keep going. It's just
that's it.
sometimes I
And
wonder what I'm going to do next. I go, well, there is no next right now. You are in the thick of it still, so just don't even think
this
about the
is it.
future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the sequel, but
Well, I have thought about the sequel and I started talking about it around Christmas time and and then And now I'm just like, oh, I don't think I have the energy yet.
Yes.
I'm not quite ready yet.
Yet.
Maybe. And
Well, you're still basking in the glow, in the steam and the heats and the smell and the
oh,
aromas
all
of
your
this
pie
particular
analogies. I
films.
love it.
And what's really interesting about this too is that even though you've been so much around pie, baking pies, you cover the Iowa State Fair, the pie contest in the
Mhm.
film is covered, which was really interesting. But that you actually judge a contest with none other than Will Ferrell. I mean, would you ever thought you'd be in that world?
Well, especially because they were calling the other pie judges the bakerati, the
Ah,
LA's bakerati, because
Bakerati.
that's in Los Angeles, and so next thing you
That's
know,
legit.
I'm a celebrity pie judge, really, with next to Will Ferrell and Roy Choi. Yeah, that's my favorite Will Ferrell movie is Stranger Than Fiction, and I just go, well, that's what this feels like, Stranger Than Fiction. It's like, how did I end up here? So yeah.
That's fantastic. But now, did you, it was never a doubt that pie could create community, but what do you think that says about us as a country or as humanity that, something as simple as pie can unite us? What do you think about
I
that?
think people are craving community. I think people are lonely. I think the
Yeah.
internet and social media and streaming movies online makes us lonely. We just, stay home because it's just easier to just watch stuff at home or scroll on your phone. And sometimes it takes a big effort to get out the door. And I took a friend to a book reading the other night, and I was supposed to have dinner at her house, and I said, "Oh, I want to go to this book reading," and she came with me. First, ran into a friend of hers first thing, then she ran into somebody who grew up in her neighborhood who was friends with somebody else, and she was just like, "I would have just stayed home. Thank you so much for getting me out
Yeah.
of the house." Right? So that's where I feel like uh, we need that. We
Yeah.
need to like get over the comfort of home and the convenience of home and get out. And sometimes it does take a push out the door, but you know, go out and go out for a slice of pie with somebody,
Yeah.
or
Or make a pie and have
or make
everybody
a
come
pie
to
and
your
take it to
house.
someone's house, right? There was a
Yeah.
story that just went kind of, I don't know if you could say viral, but whenever there's like a pie story, 10 different people send it to me.
Yeah,
So
yeah. You're
there
getting
was a
ding,
story.
ding, ding.
There was a story in The Guardian about a woman who, after the age of 60, I think she had retired or something, and she needed some purpose, and she decided she was going to bake one pie a day,
Oh,
for a whole year, and give it away,
wow.
share it with somebody, and she shared her pies with all different kinds of people, and she said it changed her life. So, you know,
Oh,
and people are afraid to like, oh, I don't want to bother anyone. I don't, like that's where I hear people say, no, I don't, they won't do it. They'll overthink it. They think that they think that they're going to be disturbing somebody if they bring them a pie and knock on their door. And it's like, are you kidding me? That's like, that's the gift is you
yeah.
show up in person with a pie and maybe
It can
unannounced,
immediately
even
alter.
better if it's unannounced because they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. You made my day. You really lifted up my spirits. And that's what we need to do for each other,
Yeah.
is
No, it is because
really
it's
reach
just that
out.
little gesture and it immediately people might be taken aback at first, but then it's like, oh, they'll just ease right into it, I
I
think.
brought you a pie because I care
Yes.
about you, right? It says so much. And also, like, there's a segment in the film about pies to say thank you. And even our state auditor of Iowa, he has a pie program where he goes around the state and gives a pie to say thank you to these people who work for the government who are helping save
Yes.
taxpayer dollars, right? Because it's he's a state auditor, so that's the incentive, is to save money. And so if you're the organization somewhere wherever you are in the state that saved the most money that month or whatever, you get
Like
he
you're
delivers a
getting a
pie to
pie.
you.
You're getting
Yeah.
a pie.
And he even says in the film, people often don't get a thank you.
Yeah.
So,
That's
what
all it
better way to
takes
say thank you
sometimes.
than make them a pie and then sit down and eat it with them and then
Exactly.
talk? So,
You mentioned the state auditor too, because there was some chatter in the film about, the what is it? the official pie of Iowa, and that
Oh,
there might be like they want to maybe revote on that. So
right.
if you had your choice, what would be the state pie of Iowa? Do you have a favorite or
I would say rhubarb.
rhubarb? Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
I would
yeah.
say rhubarb because it grows like a weed there and it
Ooh,
grows big. I mean, although I've heard that it grows monster size in Alaska. I was like, really? I'll
oh,
have to go
that's
check that
interesting.
out.
Yeah.
And rhubarb actually comes from, don't quote me on this, but like Nepal or something, it's from some other part of the world.
Somewhere,
But
yes.
yeah, but I would say that one is kind of it's not as common in other parts of the country. So I don't know. I guess I would pick
Yeah.
that one.
Rhubarb. That sounds
Not that it's
great.
my favorite, but
What
when I
is your
had my
favorite? Do you have a favorite?
I just always say apple because it's the one I would never get tired of.
Yeah.
But, and it depends on the time of year and where I am. Like if I'm in Oregon, I have to have Marionberry pie, and or blackberry pie, and if it's summer in Iowa, it has to be peach pie with a crumble top, and
Oh,
you
yum.
know, and so there's a pie
Like
for every
I'm
season.
drooling.
Yeah. But
Drooling.
I would also say strawberry rhubarb pie
Oh,
is
interesting. I don't think I've ever had that,
yeah.
but
And so that was a potential segment for the film that didn't make it in, but there was a lot of discussion about strawberry rhubarb versus just plain rhubarb. There's some
ah,
purists out there who don't want strawberries touching their rhubarb, and it
that
was
is
just like,
hilarious. I know.
yeah.
And it because
So, but people really love to talk about what their favorite pie is, or a
I
pie
know. You've
memory.
probably been asked that a million times too, but so I'm curious. So, mainly what do you want looking ahead, what would you love to see in terms of you and what you are your mission, but also what you've learned about yourself during this entire process?
Well, I've definitely learned that you're not too old to learn something new and be successful at it. In fact, it's kind of a little bit like, how come I had to wait till I was 63 to see this much success, you know?
Oh,
It's kind of crazy. It's a whole different experience than doing a book though, because when
yeah.
you're watching something with the audience, that's when you're reading books together, everyone's silent, unless you're reading it aloud. But yeah, so it's a whole different experience to have a film as your medium than a book. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah, I don't know what's ahead though.
You
I'm
play it by ear.
I'm just still in the thick of this. So I
That's
guess as
great.
long as I have the screenings that are still going and people are still appreciating it, and I'm getting different kinds of requests too. Like I had a corporation reach out the other day that wanted to show the film to a group at their company. And I was like, I've had a couple of those actually.
I
And
think that, yeah, what a great idea. So
I was like,
it's
oh, and then I had like, there's the America 250,
oh
yeah.
yes.
So already had some outreach about
Oh my
that,
God, that's
or
a
requests
great idea.
because the culture,
Yes.
this how pie is part of our American culture.
Oh my gosh, what a great idea.
Right?
That would
Yeah.
be
So
fantastic.
I haven't, and this is all like reactive stuff. I haven't been proactively booking things or,
It's
this
just
is
word of
all,
mouth.
everything is just like I'm responding to the requests. So
Yeah, that's
maybe
great.
that'll dry up, but it just seems like it's the opposite. The more showings I do, the more requests I get. So
That's great.
I'm
No,
real, I'm telling you, I really did not expect any of this.
yes. Well,
So.
you're getting your piece of the pie. So
Yeah. Well,
one
I'm
thing
just glad like you said about timing, I really feel like I just hit a nerve with,
yep.
people want to feel better and this makes them feel better. And
Yeah, because
that's
five
the
years ago,
biggest
10 years ago,
reward.
it might not have resonated,
Yeah. But the
as much.
biggest reward I get is people coming out of the theater going, that just made me feel so good. Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah,
And if that isn't the highest praise, like you want to lift people's spirits. I do that
yeah,
by making a pie and taking it to somebody, but now I'm making a movie and you're serving them the movie instead,
yeah.
a
It's pie,
bigger
but
portion.
also, we go to the movies to escape. And so I think
Yeah.
that's the perfect thing.
Well,
So,
and it takes you back to what I think we crave, that's the simpler times, the working with your hands that I
yeah,
mentioned that drove me to making pie, and community, and showing that it doesn't take much to make the world a better place. There's a guy at the end of the film, and he looks kind of like a biker dude, and he's kind of gray and just got a black t-shirt on, and he's
Oh,
stirring the big huge pot of gravy because he's making a free Thanksgiving meal for people that might want a free meal or need a free meal. And you know, and he has, like, to me, the most poignant line in the whole film. And other people say it, but he says it just so succinctly. He said, you know, if everyone would just do one thing to help somebody else,
yeah.
the world or the country would be in far better shape. And this is one thing I can do. And you're just like, you
Yeah.
know,
You're like, that's the subtitle or the,
well, but
yeah.
that's what I think this film demonstrates, is that it's not that hard to be the change you want to see in the world. You know, there are
Yeah.
these women in Des Moines, Iowa, who decided they would get people to make pies for Thanksgiving. So anyone who wants a free pie can sign up on their website, and then
Yep.
they have volunteers who deliver the pies all over the city. And it's just like, who would do that, you know?
Yeah.
And also, guess what? Not that hard to do. It
No,
really isn't.
they've
I
got more
mean, maybe the
volunteers.
logistics of the delivery routes and all that, but the people who volunteer, you know, like, and one guy in the film says, you know, that you see less volunteerism. And I heard somebody complain to me about that just the other day. She was trying to do a bake sale for a mental health thing, uh and she said she just couldn't get people to volunteer. And it's like,
Huh.
and that's maybe the message too, is like, it doesn't take much to volunteer. And you know, it's just,
You just
I think
step
maybe
outside
people
of
feel
yours.
paralyzed, or they don't, you know, they don't know who to call, or maybe it's too much of a hassle. It's not, you
Yeah.
know, just do one thing. And
And
then maybe
that's,
that leads to more things, or maybe that, you know, by doing that one volunteer act, you meet new people, make new friends, you know. It's
you
just,
never know.
it's
You
it's
never know.
all, that's all positive, and
Yeah.
all something that we definitely all need more of.
Now, well, thanks to you for educating us on that and making our mouths water. But
Well, pie is a good messenger, I will say. Yeah, because there's
yes,
something about it. It's comfort food. It's um I don't know, it just represents, I think, the nostalgia, the
yeah,
part that we're, you know, oh, remember when life was good? Well, you know, was
yeah,
it? Or, you know, but we think it was. And so you see all these grandmothers and church ladies in the film, and you're like, oh, that's, you know, it does do something. There's a lot of,
yeah.
when I was doing the interviews, a lot of people cried on film, uh, because they were telling a story about their mom made them pie, or their dad, some memory. And it's just like, next thing
It's
you
that
know,
such a sentimental
oh my
thing. Yeah.
gosh, yeah.
Wow.
I don't see people doing that with cake or
No, it does.
cookies.
It's not funny. It doesn't have that
I
same.
don't, I
Yeah.
know.
Here, I made you a cookie. I don't know, maybe a cookie, but
I
you
don't
know,
know. I still kind of scratch my head. I just, like, you know, and people have said, oh, well, that's because pie is love, you know, in the simplest of terms.
yeah.
But I think
Oh, so
that's
a
over.
lot of people, yeah, like Tom Arnold said, food is love.
Yeah.
Somebody said food is a common language. You always have room for pie. It's great. So I
Yeah.
also learned you never drive with a meringue pie.
Ah, she
That's
gets a laugh every time.
I
She, the most
it's
stressful thing you'll ever do is drive with a meringue pie.
I think that's
Well,
so
on the
great.
way to a pie contest.
Well,
That's,
and then part of the hardest part was, having to, there's probably so much you wanted in the movie that you just have to cut some things. But
hey,
again,
I do have a meringue, driving with a meringue pie story that just, I'm like, why didn't I think of this before? I made, when I baked pies in Malibu in 2001, when I was doing my little pie baking sabbatical,
yeah.
you know, had a lot of celebrity customers, and Barbara Streisand had ordered a lemon meringue pie for a dinner party.
Oh my gosh.
So I made the pie and had this really high meringue, like mile high. It was gorgeous. And it was in a bakery box, and you know, you couldn't close the lid because the meringue was too high, and it was still fresh out of the oven.
Oh, I
Uh,
know.
so her driver came to pick it up, and word got back to us the next day that he took the speed bumps too fast
Oh
going into her
no.
gated community, and the meringue got stuck to the top of the box. And
Oh,
yeah.
well, that's not
So,
your fault.
so that woman in the film is correct. It is
Yeah.
stressful to drive with a lemon meringue pie. Note to self,
Don't
don't put a lid on it. Yeah.
don't do it. Don't do it.
Ah, right. It's not funny.
Well, well, don't drive with a meringue, but do go see if yeah, any opportunity to see the movie. Yeah, it's something to be enjoyed and really consumed.
You
So
are good with the wordplay
I'm
today.
trying, I know, Miss Pun, but Beth, thank you so much for coming back on the show and thank you for the film. I think it's going to make a big difference. So I thank you for joining us again today.
All right. Well, make sure you send people to my website, The World Needs More Pie,
You got it.
and .com. Yeah. And the movie is PIEOWA, A Piece of America.
Love it. Love it. Love it. I enjoyed it so much. So,
Thank you. I'm so
yeah.
glad.
So, yay.
Well,
But
hopefully we'll see you in Las Vegas with the film.
yes, I'm crossing my fingers. That would be
Okay.
fantastic. So, of course, as Beth just said, and then even to know more about her and her film, Piowa, and where it's going to be screening near you, just visit thewomenseye.com. And then while on the site, check out our books, 20 Women Changemakers and 20 Women Storytellers. Just go wherever you buy books. You'll also find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And be sure to subscribe to our newsletter and YouTube channel. Don't be shy. Let us know your comments, questions, likes, dislikes. And all right, I got to get my hat back on. And guess what? I've been waiting this whole time. It's time to take a bite of the pie, right? Just the icing. So, Beth, thank you. I'm sure yours is much better than this one.
It's all good. Thanks so much, Stacey.
Thank you. Just meet us back here again soon on the Women's Eye podcast. I'm Stacey Gualandi. Remember, it's the world as we see it, and the world needs more pie.